Hello and welcome. Today I want to continue working on the Bridge Commander recreation map for Star Trek Elite Force 2, and I want this map to be actually a kind of example map that can be used in the future for other projects and is a part of the co-op mod itself. So what I first want to do is give that map a proper name. So I'm gonna close this here because the name of the map will change. And usually in the co-op mod, the test and example maps, they start with a prefix like PRF, which is supposed to be standing for prefab, which helps the co-op mod to detect that this map is actually meant to be a map that has co-op enabled. It's essentially the same as if the map would have this prefix, the co-op prefix, but certain features are disabled on this map then. But those are usually features like mission-specific settings that are concerning players or player actions, which does not impede usually on the testing maps being a good place to work out features for the mod. Okay, so I'm gonna work on that. There we go. I've now renamed the map. I'm gonna rename the script. I'm gonna remove the compiled map, gonna remove the portals, the backup, and I'm gonna open the map now in the editor. Co-op B. Oh, wait. It no longer is. That's the right one. So here's the map. So the first thing I want to do is just check. Okay. We don't want the... Yeah, we can just leave it. We don't want the player to enter this room here because we do not have a skybox that looks quite right. And if we change that at any point in the future, we can just allow the player to enter this room again. But for the purpose of this test map, we're gonna just lock these doors. I have to look it up if it is the command for it, if it is just lock or locked, because I don't remember. Lock the door, it's just lock. So full documentation of all the commands is coming with the game development kit. Also, this editor here is part of the GDK, which you can download. It also contains some part of the game code source. I'm gonna lock this door, and we're gonna do the same here. And the player should be no longer able to enter this room. Then we are going to look at something else. I think there was a problem here too. No, that looks good. That looks also good. Yeah, right. You want to give some kind of instructions to whoever is going to use this map. And maybe in the future, I don't know when I will touch this again, if I will touch this again ever, I might not remember every detail, so I'm gonna give some pointers or notes as to how this works. Note user u for one user var one is actor, user var 2 is dialog, user var 3 is menu or HUD. This brush defines the area at which the player can click. That should be fine. Gonna copy this node to other brushes. And this one too. There we go. Next, I want to compile this map. Let me just check. Here we have triggers filtered. Yeah, the names will also change of the functions. We're going with the prefix of the map name. B, just do it like this. B commander. And let's keep the captain. Because in the future, it's quite possible we can have a player at a different station. The player doesn't have to be the captain. But in this case, it is the captain chair. The player has to walk to and press use. Be commanded captain. Let's now go into the script and adjust the function name. Ah yes, we have to open the script first. Is it? Yeah, it's this. Bridge commander. Who? That's interesting. Also, let's move the general code for this. That's not part of the actual map, but of the script that enables us to do what we're doing into a different script file. Since this is going to be a co-op mod feature, gonna add it to the co-op mod. Let me just real quick look up how I'm usually doing that. Just for good measure. Yeah, just throw one file in here. All right, co-op mod, matrix, new file. Let's call it B commander. Yes, we do. Move it in here. We're gonna go to move portions of the code into this. So let's paste the function name. Gonna move functions over here and include them into the actual map to the actual test map, but use the functions here. Yeah, copy it like this. We already have this here. Now let's like this. Let me just check real quick if the co-op mod has a function that actually saves us some work. Entity one or two, but that's something different. We should look into the check functions. Check, check, check. No, there's no such function that checks if two entities are equal with all the failsafes. So we're gonna create that. Gonna move it over. This one here. But first we're gonna include the include and gonna change slashes because this way it wouldn't work. And we're gonna check again in the co-op mod if everything is correct with the include command. Okay, it needs no semicolon. So we're gonna remove the semicolon, write some information. Give some context. Bridge command, bridge control, recreation script. Okay. So next we're gonna move up the code that's gonna stay in this file, which is this stuff here. And we're gonna check this is present, and this is gonna change, but this will stay. I'm gonna cut this and put it here. Okay, this will also change. So we're gonna rename that. Commander. We're gonna keep the rest. Now we can then move this function. Cut it out and add it to the global script here. And later we need this function here. We also want to declare all the functions we're going to use, so we don't get any surprises in the script. And we also, for good measure, copy our typical commentary structure over. This file enables to recreate a bridge commander like bridge control when aiming at crewmates. C PRF B commander co-op example map for more details. Good. Gonna save that. And we're gonna copy more stuff over. This is good, this is good. This is adjusted. Very well. All these we're gonna copy over, but gonna rename them first. Same goes for this. And the next one. So the reason why I'm giving them all this B commander prefix is once they are in the global file and the script is included anywhere else, there should be no naming conflict with the functions. So obviously if the function is just named @validTarget, maybe some other scripter will have a function that has exactly the same name, which is unlikely but still possible. And by adding the prefix, I make sure that the likelihood of someone having the exact same name for their function is extremely, extremely low. Otherwise, the scripts would just create a compile error. And inexperienced scripters might not find what the problem is and get really confused and frustrated. And as a developer on my side, I should always try, and I really do, and sometimes I forget it, but usually I try to make it so that whoever's touching the code and using it in the future has a fairly easy time working with it. And no bad motherfucker surprise moments. So, to quote some Samuel Jackson here. Okay. There we go. Gonna replace it. Now this function should also be replaced. Reset player, which is a stupid name because I'm not quite sure what it is resetting. So I'm gonna look it up and rename it. Reset player. Let's just call it player reset of I just think player reset, bridge commander player reset, let's not call it reset, let's call it exit. Yeah. Gonna see if that is a better name or not in the future, so let's go up again, grab the next function. Now this function I use to hide whatever we're aiming at, so we know which object we are targeting, to verify that the game code is actually working in this instance. We don't need this anymore, so we're gonna remove it. Okay, there we go. A timer, let me just see what the timer does. Actor timer. So let's just, that's because the target name of the actor is added. That's why it's so short. Okay, but still, this is not a good name. We're still gonna change that to act. At least, yeah, we can still use the two letters, so it's not too much of a difference. Let's just have it let's just give it a good name, so whoever's looking at the code in the future will not have to figure out what this stuff does by looking into the actual function code, but just reading the function name should give a somewhat basic idea what the things are doing. Also, we're going to change the global variable here to bcommander max bridge targets. Let's do it like, or actually we can, because it's a variable and not a function, and we can do it like this. That's okay. Bridge targets, replace all. There we go. There we are. Now we can continue further. Let's just move the include up here, because we want to include this before we include the new script, because the new script is going to use co-op_mod functions. Therefore, we want the co-op_mod to be already loaded into the scripts for this to work. Otherwise, we would just get an error message, and sometimes it doesn't really show up on the screen what the exact error is. It just shows compile failed. And then you have to look for the compile warnings, and sometimes it's hidden and it's not showing the right error and it's showing a different related error, so this gets more and more complicated. And so let's also have a note here, includes the global script bridge controller recreation script, and this requires inclusion of the ZM co-op_mod main script first. Maybe we should do it like this. Or maybe like this. This looks better. Let's go for this. And I have some commentary here. Start setup functions. This is a very stupid commentary, but still, if someone is looking at the script and has no clue what's going on, they might find it easier to read text than to read function names. I mean, they're pretty self-explanatory, but still, looking at something for the first time can be very confusing in itself. So you're trying to give some assistance to who's ever looking in the future at scripts like this. If software would usually be developed like this, many things in software could be easier maintained and software could be better in quality in general. Yeah, now we're gonna move the function over. We're gonna just remove all of them here, because we're going to change. Let's go down here, declarations. There we go, but then again, declaration should be, or wait, no, this is fine. Let's just keep it. That's a global variable. We want this very close to the declarations, but this is part of the global script, so we're gonna put it in here. And we continue copying code over. Check if it is the same entity. This is used for targeting objects. This looks fine. But I will also copy it over. Put it down here. Check if given entity is a valid target from the list. Yeah, let's just... Yeah, that's actually okay. I can leave it like this. This is adding a target to the list. We certainly want that. Copy it over here. So the interesting part will be once we start the game and check if everything is working. Then we need to find glitches that might be new since we have moved the code to a global file. It's not happening often, but it can happen. That something changed. Usually it's the fault of the scripter, so, well. What I certainly want to do later is to check if some else player present on the server is already the captain and prevent any other player to use the same trigger. So we're gonna have make a note here, prevent other players to also be the captain at the same time. And let's make some extra note here, check all present players for the captain bar. Now this is the big function that does basically the checking, the managing, the zooming, basically everything. We will split this up to make the code easier to maintain. But for now, we're first gonna move it over to the global file, test the map, and then we can split it up further and optimize it. And also build in this protection that no other player can use it. Let's copy it over in here. But we don't need this anymore. But we need that. Put it like this. Also, we don't need these, or wait, gonna optimize later. Then we're gonna add a check here to see if any other player is currently, let's just copy that entirely, if any other player is currently captain. Therefore, we have to check every player that's on the server. We need a loop for this. We're gonna check, do we have any float we can recycle? No, not at this stage. Well, never mind then. Load. Let's just see if we have another I somewhere. No. Good. Start at 0. I smaller than. Now we need some data from the co-op mod. We need declaration of functions, integer max players. This is not what we're looking for. integer svmax clients. That's what we're going to look for. Because this is the internal handling of how many players the co-op mod will handle. This is just for legacy reasons here and for testing. And this is actually what the server's actually set to support on players. Like, for example, if the server has 4 player slots, then this number will change to 4. Or if the server has 64 player slots, this number will change to 64. And since we want the script to be quite compatible and probably run without a co-op mod, we use whatever is the right, most common variable here that can be checked. We could also grab the variable directly from the server, which in this case would be probably, because this is not a loop part. This is only executed when the server uses when the player uses the trigger. So it won't be running this code very often. So we can actually use a slower method here. And the slower method would be to grab the CVAR directly, the CVAR directly from the server. So we're gonna do that. So we have some independence from the co-op mod, even though we are using already a lot of functions of the co-op mod. They can all be replaced usually to some degree with slightly more complex functions, but about the same feature, at least for this script. But working with the co-op mod main scripts is saving me a lot of time and effort. And they are very reliable, so I don't have to fear any problems or incompatibilities or crashes when I use the co-op mod predefined functions and commands. So that's the reason why I'm using them mostly for my experiments and everything. I'm gonna get CVAR int, grabbing a integer from this CVAR svmax client. And let's just, for the sake of it, give us the actual type of data. So we're expecting an integer, so I'm putting an I in front of this variable name so that I can quickly see what the data type in this variable should be. So we're now going through all the players on the server. We need next a check if any other player already is captain. We need an entity. Just put it here. This is a variable that can contain an object, like a player, a door, a weapon, an item. We already have that. So we call it player other. Yep. Now we're gonna grab get entity. Now, since the entity number of a player is the same as the client number, client number start with 0, we can just use this client number to grab the player directly. So I'm going to check if the player exists. This entity exists. If the player exists, and if the player is not the same player, which should actually never happen, because we have to check here but we're still going to check it anyway. Maybe we can remove. No, we don't. We can remove. No, we don't need to check. We don't need this check ever, so we're going to remove it. So what I wanted to do is check if the current player that we're now grabbing is the same as the player that's already the captain. So if the player that used the trigger is the same we're currently grabbing, which we don't need to do ever. So we're not gonna add it. So if that other player exists, we're gonna check if that other player is the captain. If that other player is the captain, we're gonna tell the current player someone already is the captain. Someone else already is the captain. Is already the captain. Already. Well, never mind. But let's do it like this. So at least the player knows what's going on, why he's denied access. There we go. Now we can remove the commentary here. And we can add some kind of changelog. Let's just put it here. Today is 05, 23. Moved functions into this global file. I'm gonna add also renamed functions and variables for global file usage. Then we are going to change edit. First we need the function name. Let's go down, Rich Commander Captain. Let's see, let's just have it like this. That we know which kind of variable or function has been changed. Edit, check for other players using other player being captain. That's okay. Like this, and we go back to the file here. And I'm gonna check if that actually, yeah, gonna need this. So I'm missing already one declaration here. And let's move the caption function, honestly, at the bottom, because it's the most massive function and everything else are basically helper functions or support functions. They are not the actual genius function that makes this script work. I think we're gonna need these two. So I'm gonna copy them as a whole. Add them here, remove the code. The reason why I'm copying stuff so much is not because I'm lazy to type, but when I copy stuff, the possibility of typos and twisted letters or forgetting something that's really hard to spot is drastically removed or reduced. So I'm trying to remove problems or instances at which I have generated problems that are hard to track that cost me a lot of time to fix them. So by copying stuff over, I can make sure that the text I've copied is still right. Because sometimes when I spell things wrong and I retype the function name and I spell it right, then the function is still spelled wrong, but I have a declaration on the top that's spelled correctly. And then I get a script error and I look at the function. For example, if it is like a captain with a I before the A, it's hard to spot. And if the actual function that later has the code is written like this, and you are tired or not 100% focused, and they are really far apart, until you scroll down and look at this here, you probably don't recognize or don't notice the misspelling. So, and to prevent this, I'm just copying the names over. So I can make sure that whatever I've typed down there is copied to the declaration above. So I'm reducing my points of introducing errors. There we go. I think that's pretty much it. Copy it over. If everything goes to plan, I should be able to, let's just compile the map for now. Build. I should be able to run this function or this code, this map, in a minute. But before I do that, I want to check something. I want to check all the string variables, what they contain. Has a prefix, this has a prefix, this doesn't, this doesn't, this doesn't. This does also have a prefix. Okay, that looks good. Let me just check the float vars. I should probably do it like this. They look good. They look good. Let's do the same again for the string. For the string vars, they are looking good. Okay. So let's just change the map. BRF B commander accept. Map is compiled. Let's start a map and see if it works or not. Don't bet any money it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't. Unknown value. Okay, something has been overlooked. Line 35. Go to line 35. Ah, okay, this was moved before I started renaming functions, so that's definitely on me. Now let's try the map again. Another one. Function B commander captain was not defined, so in watch line. Okay, let's just see. B commander captain. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. You should not show captain. Should not show how things break and then leave it. You should actually fix what you're trying, what you broke before. So there's that. There we go, it's working, and Mr. Barkley is still having problems. I don't know exactly what's going on there, but it's not improving the air quality, I think. Okay. Our trigger is here in the level editor, here, and we activate that, and then we can aim on these brushes here, these cubes, and the script will then do the rest. The script will then read the data that is associated with these blocks, like user var 1, user var 2, user var 3, and reacting accordingly. Also, one of these user vars points to Mr. Barkley here. Mr. Barkley will then talk to us. Mr. Barkley will then speak this dialogue here. And this menu or HUD is shown to us. Okay, so let's try it. You have the con. Now it tells me if I press fire, it tells me to press fire to interact. So I'm going to press fire. Gonna press right fire. Nothing's happening. Gonna press left fire. There we go, he's talking. And we can see the menu. And we're zoomed in. So gonna left click again. Nothing is happening. If I aim away, it's still the same. If I now target her, it's reset, and her menu and dialog is playing. If I target the view screen, I'm looking at the view screen. If I right click, I zoom out again. And as soon as I target an area where these blocks are, I get a notification HUD that I can press fire to interact. View screen, basically just zooming and targeting her. So if I just aim quickly over it and go away again, the HUD is not showing. That's because there's as soon as I aim on the right correct block, a timer is starting that counts up, and after of a quarter of a second, I think, it adds this HUD if you're still aiming on this. So this prevents the player looking around having this HUD flashing like you have just seen. If the player goes really quick, it's not happening. But we also don't want to wait too long to show this HUD. Otherwise the player will probably not figure it out if he's too quick at looking around. Okay, so let me just Let me just turn on the sound for this. We can actually hear what's going on. Just do it like this. There we go.
Greetings, Lieutenant.
I don't have any sound. You might have sound in the video, but I don't. It's just...
Barclay is a king of the holodeck.
Oh, there we go. You have Mr. Barkley.
Barclay is a king of the holodeck.
That's great.
If you're interested, I have some good books for you to read. I really recommend the Dixon Hill novels.
That's, by the way, the ship librarian, I think.
Greetings, Lieutenant. I am Dr. Stevenson.
So the menu here is pretty ugly when I aim on them, but this is just for me for testing. So
Greetings, Lieutenant.
that would not be the menu that would be used. If we would use a real menu, the player would click on that, and the player could no longer move the mouse like this, the camera like this. It would the mouse would change to a pointer, and the player could select from the menu, just like in Bridge Commander. But this is not implemented here because this is just a showcase test map. Okay, what we now want is a second player. So I'm gonna start the game again. And instead of loading the map again, this is the second instance. This, gonna disconnect. Oh. And we're gonna connect to local server. Now we have two people on the server, and I'm going to try to use the same trigger. And it gives me the message, someone else already is the captain. Now we need to check if that actually is working. Use the trigger again. But we already are the captain, so nothing's happening. So what we're now going to do, before we go any further in this script, is we allow the player to actually no longer be the captain. So instead of ending the function here, we're gonna reset it. You are already the captain. Gonna move that. And now let's check. We need to reset this stuff here. So we're gonna copy them over. Is Captain 0? We don't have to worry about this function. To run infinitely, I think, but we're still gonna kill it. Terminate. We have to remove the HUD from the player and return the FOV. So 230. We are going to remove... Oh! That's not right. I found a mistake. That should be like this. And yeah, we want this too. There we go. This will reset the FOV. And this will remove the menu, but we have to make sure that the menu actually, the menu variable is actually set. If the menu variable is not empty, we're gonna remove it, gonna reset the FOV, and we're gonna tell the player these are all set to 0, right? Oh, and we need to remove the tooltip HUD. Fire use, that's it. That's the one. And we're gonna remove the tooltip HUD every time, anyway. Regardless if it has been added to the player's screen or not before. The game will handle that. The game has an internal tracking which HUDs are added to the player screen and which are not. So we're now gonna tell the player what's going on. Gonna do this first. You are no longer the captain. So just save this, and it's the other one. Restart. What? Please vote map. Oh, that's a new feature I forgot about. Yay! Ah, okay. So the variable is not at the top of the 174. So let's just close this to 174. Let's do the go to this line here. There we go. Here, this should be outside, so we can access it from the very start of the function. Or at least when we first need it, which would be nope. That's not gonna work. That's not gonna work for yeah, we need to do this differently. In general, we need to do a check further down, but we need to set a variable here on the player. Say float var vCommander do exit 1. So we want this player to exit. The player's already captain, otherwise if he's not, let's set this variable to 0. We don't need to kill the function anymore in the future. We will just have a check where it tells us move it here, because I need to do that later. But first I'm gonna take a quick break, because I have to do something. And I'll be right back in like 3 to 4 minutes, I think. Okay, so there we go.
Kommt Paladin des Weißen Drachen schon wieder.
Just... Here we go. Let's just continue. Okay, what we want now is, yeah, we have now given the game or the script function the information that this player wants to exit. And then we exit the function, because it's like this. Once the player uses this function, once the player uses first this trigger here, this will start this function, and this function will do all the checks until it comes here to this loop, which will run infinitely until the player dies or the player disconnects from the server. And if the player disconnects, there's not really anything we need to do except exit the function. Everything else goes away with the player. But if the player dies, we need to reset a few things for the player. We need to reset the FOV, we need to remove the menus, we need to set the variables the player is no longer in the menu, that the tooltip is no longer showing, that the zooming is no longer happening, all these things. And because we have something like this, a check like this already going on, we're not going to add another section somewhere else in a new instance when the trigger is used again. We want to keep this here in the main function that's already running. So the player can only have this function running once for him. And in this main function, we want to do all the checks. So we're going to move the code we have created before into this segment here, which is the best choice to do it. I'm gonna move that here. Gonna just throw the code in here real quick, and then we're gonna check. So if the player is dead, or if the player has the variable set to it, assuming is captain, we have the is captain reset, we have the in menu reset, we have the tooltip showing reset, and we have the zooming. Okay, so they are all in here. We don't need them. This should also be here. It is. Excellent. And that is. It's only doing it when the tooltip is showing. Let's also have this just for the sake of doing it right and fixing possible glitches. Let's just reset the stuff and remove the HUDs anyway, regardless if they have been registered to be successfully added to the screen of the player or not. So this could be a potential save for the player to fix glitches, if there ever gonna be any glitches with this, which I don't think will happen, but still, if you have the opportunity to create the code in a way that can fix glitches, we're gonna do that. We don't need to kill the function because it will close on its own. Also, we don't need this anymore because we have it further down, but about this, we have it here too, so we don't need this either. We, however, want this printed to the player, but only if the player is planning to exit. So we need this. I'm going to copy the whole thing. Going to check it. I'm going to do it like this. Player wants to exit 0. Now we have all of them reset. This stuff here later will be moved to the player exit function, which should be somewhere into this. This needs to be expanded, obviously, and all the code will then be moved here, and everything will be managed here instead of inside the loop. 200 something here. Okay, print the message to the player only if the player does indeed want to exit. That is one. Print message if player used the trigger again to exit. And we need that check here. As well. If health is 0 or equal to 0, so this means the player is dead, or the player has the wish to exit, we go in the segment here and everything is managed here. Okay, so let's just test it. And I'm happy to say that I did not take any bets if that works or not. Because very often I find myself the code to be not working right. Okay, 217, too few parameters. That should be here. That was... And it's such a simple mistake, sometimes it's... yeah. Yes, 220... let's just see, 220. It's here, set float. Again, same thing. Okay, this is getting awkward. 233. Why is this? Let me guess. Because I moved the variable, or I actually wanted to move the variable, but then I didn't. I just removed it and forgot about it. Is that what was happening? Let me see, where does the loop start? The loop starts here. Where is it used otherwise? Okay, let's just list them. Indeed, I removed the variable. Well, need it outside here, so we actually can just add it here. There we go, finally. Okay, use the trigger now. Works. Seems to work. Let's... okay. That was easy enough. Very well.
Barclay is the king of the holodeck.
If you're interested, I have...
Greetings, Lieutenant. I am...
So let's just move this entire code here into the exit function. Handle player. So that will be B commander do exit. No, that's something different. Player exit is the right one. Gonna give the player variable over, then we need the HUD as HUD menu last. And we're gonna check what else we need. We could actually do this as a thread. There we go. This checks if the player exists. Let's move the stuff in here. Yeah, that will still be attached to the player, so we can keep this. Is captain. This is all being reset. Excellent. Now, last HUD is this one. This one will do it. And gonna remove the tooltip. And as I said before, we're gonna remove the tooltip HUD anyway, regardless if it has been successfully registered as being added or not. This will reduce any glitches, any chances of glitches, or fix glitches actually. Possibly fix glitches, though. Last HUD. I hope that works. We're going to check this. Well, first we're going to see if there's something else. If you need this exit function somewhere else. We are here. We need it here. No, we don't. That's something else. Let's just test it and see if that works. We gotta take this, use the trigger again. It removes the menu. We are no longer the captain. We can become the captain again. It works also with removing this interact HUD. Let's just try it like this. But they still continue with their dialogue. Well, cannot click them until I use this trigger again.
If you're interested, I have some.
You're no longer the captain.
Greetings, Lieutenant. I am Dr. Stevens.
I would say that works fine. Now, one thing that's bothering me is they looking slightly above me, not directly at me. So there is a fix for this, which should be here, I think. Let me just check if that really is so. No, that's the wrong file. We can actually remove this file. What I want now is checking if that is. No. Okay, I don't recall exactly how I fixed it because I was stupid enough to remove the file before I copied the code over. Great, but never mind. We can still fix this. I have some part of it here. Yeah, but we can still, let me just check if that... That should actually be part of the setup function. That's suppression of error messages. I'm gonna move that over, but first, yeah, spawn that. We want to spawn that with the captain function here. Just outside of the loop, before anything else is happening. You have the con, set variables, spawn. Exactly, so now we're gonna look at the, let's change the name here. It's pcommander captain marker, headwatch. That's target name. Now this spawns a new trigger that is not transmitted over the network, but the server knows its position. So this saves us network traffic. And I want the actors to look at this trigger instead of the player, because this fixes some issues. If, no, I want the actor headwatch, headwatch target, no, that's the wrong one. Headwatch target. Headwatch. That's the one. And that's actually the only one, is it? Yeah. Okay, here is where we give the actor the command to watch the player and also play the dialogue. What we now want to do is, instead of watching the player, we want them to watch the marker, but we move the marker every time close to the player or at the position of the player. Just in case we don't have the player fixed at a specific location, because we don't know how this is going to be used. We want it to be flexible. We are gonna move the marker at which the AI is looking slightly below the player's head. So we need to go inside the loop. Now here's checked if the player still exists. Here it is checked if the player still wants to continue. We need to check it here, or move it here actually. If move marker to player location, I'm going to check if that object actually exists. It has a fixed name because there can only be one at the same time, because there can only be one player. So we don't need to put it into a variable. Does entity exist? If, let's just check for marker. So if the marker does not exist, we will end this function with an error message. That can happen if someone tampers with the script, or if the server has issues and needs to be restarted. Then the server will not be able to spawn new entities. And since this trigger is spawned here, it will for sure help if you have a error message printed out. But first, let's just check here. If it does not exist or not. And actually, we need to check. Yeah, that's right. If we spawn an object, we need about 1 frame time for the server to register and spawn the object. Otherwise, it will not be accessible by script. So if I spawn it and immediately check for it, it will not find it. So I just had to check if there's a wait command, and here's a wait command. It's actually the smallest amount of wait command we can use. Does entity exist? So when the function is first started and all the checks are good, we will check if that trigger exists. And if it does not exist, we're gonna spawn it. And if it does exist, we're not gonna spawn it because it's still there from the last player who used this function. So we're gonna recycle the previous entity. Because there can only be one and can only be one player at a time being the captain. So there's no risk leaving this around the map. It's not creating any network traffic. It's not creating any other problems. It's just one object, and it's absolutely no problem. So let me just look like, there we go. We want this error message, line 253. Let's copy it over, 253. There we go. Marker would not be spawned. Let's have a big failed here, so let's have an error. Let's make it much easier, fatal error. So that anyone who's using this knows something went wrong. Just for the lols of it, let's add something here and try if that error message actually works. Okay, warm up. Fatal error, marker could not be spawned, server might have issues. Excellent. So let's add a color here. I think one is red. And we need 5. Marker could not be spawned. And 8. Let's try that again. Yeah, fatal error, marker could not be spawned, server might have issues. Excellent, so let's just do that. And we want to update this object to the position of the player. Therefore, we want the last player position. We need a variable of the type vector. Player origin. And we're gonna store the current location of the player there, player origin last. And we need the current position. You can also do it like this. Go down here. We probably only want to update this when the player is in the menu. So basically only when the actor is looking at the player. Let me see here, actor timer. If I want this to be associated with the time the dialogue is being played only, it gets a lot more complicated and complex and prone to error, so I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do it like updating it always when the menu is present. If there is a valid target, so make play zoom in. So is zooming, let me just check where else we can see commander menu. That's happening when the target has changed, all the player is not yet in the menu. So as soon as the player is in the menu, this would no longer update. So this is not the right place to put it. And this is also not the right place, this is also not the right place, and this is also not the right, because this will only be entered when the player clicks the left mouse button. So we clearly have to put it outside. It's all not working. Let me just see. Actor, there was something about the actor here. Here, no. That's all not right. We need to update it every time this while loop is repeating itself. So there's no way around it without making it much more complex and prone to error. So let's just do that. If what was that one here? If the last location is 0, 0, 0, which means there is no last location, it's the first time this is run, we want the object here to move to the location of the player. And the location of the player will be in here. And we're going to grab the location of the player get the origin of the player, update marker location to the current player location. This is to fix the bug that the actors are looking slightly above us when they're sitting. When they're standing, this works, but as soon as they're sitting, their skeleton animation changes in a way that the head offset calculation is no longer correct. So instead of going into the game code and fixing that somehow, somewhere, maybe, because that could be rather complicated because it's C++ based and sometimes it's getting really complex to fix this. I'm fixing this on the script side, just like this. I don't know how that will be done in the future, but this is now the fastest fix. Just adding a fake object that the actors are looking at instead of the player, which is moved every time this is updated to the player location. Okay, origin. That's the current player location. Moving to the current player location. If the last, yeah, it's just put it in here and update it. Or actually, we can do it like this. Or do we? No. I think this is fine. This is fine. And I'm gonna check if the last origin that we know of is not the same as the current player origin. So this object is basically moved to the player position the first time this is run in the code, and every time the location this object has been last moved to is not the same as the location of the player. So every time the player moves, this object is moved. If the player doesn't move, this object is not moved. This saves us some computational power. It's not really that much. It's not really important, but I think coding it in a clean way so that we reduce any problems and any stress on the server is always a good thing. So every time we move this object, something else on the server needs to update. And if you don't need to move it, we don't want anything else to update, so we do it like this. Doing it with variables like this in script is faster than adding a script command based handling like this. This is a script command origin, and this is a script reference to the object. So this would create another event in the game events, which is something the game would have to go through, and we have a specific amount of events the game can handle. In this case, this doesn't matter, but if a map gets much more complex and bigger, and we have lots of these objects in the level, and we do it with all these objects in this way, we will always have a very efficient map. Always, the script will then always work efficiently and not stress the server too much, even if the map is really big and complex. So it's always good practice to have checks like this in the code. They are only costing us CPU power instead of any other kind of resources we get from the game or the server. So that's why I'm doing this. I'm gonna check if that actually works, and because we want a offset, because we're doing all this to have the object move to a different location than the player, we have a vertical offset of, let's say, minus 100 or 1000. So we see actually if that actually changes anything. If the actor is actually really looking somewhere else. So the actor should never look at us, actually. Yeah, he's definitely looking at the floor.
If you're interested, I have some...
Greetings.
Yeah, she too.
I am Dr. Stevenson.
Yeah. We're gonna change that to, I think it was 30 or something. Restart the map. Activate the trigger. Yeah, he's pretty much looking at us. What about her?
Greetings, Lieutenant. I am Dr. Stevenson.
Looks actually quite good.
Greetings, Lieutenant.
Yeah, it looks excellent. Let's just go here and look at Barclay again.
Barclay is the king of the holodeck.
Is it actually updating?
Barclay is the king of the holodeck.
It looks like it's updating.
Barclay is the king of the holodeck.
Yeah, it definitely is updating.
Barclay is the king of the holodeck.
Yeah, absolutely. So that works perfectly. So they are now actually looking at us.
Greetings, Lieutenant. I am Dr.
As you can see, if I go like this, her head will not bend all the way. So her neck, actually.
I am Dr. Stevenson.
Bending heads would not be good.
If you're interested, I have... If you're interested, I have some...
Just see. She's...
If
Yeah.
you're interested, I have some good books for you to read.
It's hard to tell with her dark eyes where she's actually looking at.
I have some good books
That looks
for you
good.
to read.
Ah, going out of it.
If
But when they
you're
finish the
interested, I have some
dialogue,
good
they're
books
still
for you to
looking.
read. I really recommend the Dixon Hill novels.
No, they're not.
If you're interested, I have some good books for you to read.
Ah, they're still looking at the last location.
If you're interested,
Yeah, but that's... Oh, that's okay. That's a minor glitch. That's not too bad. Let's just see
Barclay
at which distance we don't need to zoom. Or do we actually...
Greetings, Lieutenant.
Yeah, what we can do is we could add a formula
I am Dr. Stevenson.
that calculates the distance from the player to the object we want to look at, and then scales the amount of zoom.
if you're interested, I have some good books for you to read.
But for this bridge, the fixed number I'm using is actually quite good. So,
is the king of the holodeck.
gonna spare me that work.
Barclay is the king of the holodeck.
Yeah, still improving air quality, I can see. Okay. 30 is a good number. I think they were looking slightly below me, so I'm going for 28 or 27. I'm gonna try it again.
Barclay is the king of the holodeck.
Let's try it with her in an angle.
If you're interested, I have some good books for you to read. I really recommend the Dixon Hill novels.
Looks
If
good.
you're interested, I have some.
Let's see what she's saying.
Lieutenant. I am Dr.
I
Stevenson.
think that looks pretty good.
Greetings, Lieutenant. I am Dr. Stevenson. Greetings, Lieutenant. I am Dr. Stevenson.
If you're interested, I have some good books for you.
Barclay is the
Yeah, Buckley, we know. Okay. Let's go for the next step, which would be... Do we actually need to check this? Yeah, I think it's okay. Yeah, I can remove that. Where else? I've seen more of that. Let me just... There we go. Oh. That's it, actually. Okay. So let's check. It's loading the same map. So here I have the commander. That map ends. It loads the same map. So let's add a few things to this map. First of all, we want the player, whoever is playing this, to fairly quickly understand what's going on. So we're going to add a U symbol here. That U symbol, we're going to place it at the seat here, slightly off. Slightly, I think slightly lower. Gonna give it a target name, so we can access it via script. Let me just check. P commander use captain. have it like this. And if the mapper forgets to add this, we don't want any trouble, so we have to check if it actually exists before we do something with it. So we want to have it shown again and make sure there are no failure points. So once the trigger is used, we have it like this. Actually, we don't need to hide the symbol ever, because the player can at every given point still use the trigger to exit, or another player can try to enter, which will not work. But the trigger is usually all the time usable, with an exception of 0.2 seconds after it's being used. So we're gonna just leave it like this. And we're gonna add something here. A trigger, new trigger level, trigger exit. That's the right one. It will display the exit HUD. So if the player enters this turbolift, it will tell the player, you're about to leave the level. So I'm gonna add that too here. And here's a trigger that we will change to co-op end level. Let me just check if that is right. It's in here. Co-op end level, that's correct. And we will do exactly the same on the other side, with the other turbolift. Here. So if the player presses this button here, he will, let me see how high it is. Yeah, if the player crouches, see outside the trigger? I think not, but still let's just make sure. So if the player jumps, he will still be in the trigger. Yeah. Crouching and jumping. There we go. And a little bit up. Okay. So there's that. Just see. It's like this. Let's go for Mr. Barkley to be not solid. Maybe this will stop him making this strange cloud, dust cloud. Compile the map again. Bloom. Okay, there we go. Now we have this use button here. We're also going to add a use button to the turbolift. That's the level end warning. Let's just see if that works on the other side too. Indeed, let's just check if the turbolift does something. Nothing happening. Just check if the trigger is misaligned or something. Doesn't work. Okay, let's check the other trigger. Oh wait. What was that? What were we stepping on? That was strange. Oh, the console. We're stepping on something else, I think. These are some kind of glitches that should be definitely fixed for a upcoming Enterprise e-co-op map. Yeah. Also this here, this glitch here. That's because the wall here has an angle. And the physics doesn't really handle that well with it. So what I would do is adding a invisible clip that will fix that. Yeah, here are clips already. Right, let me just check this door here. The door says no, that's good. What does the turbolift say? Turbolift doesn't talk to me. So I'm gonna check what's going on. Wait 3 seconds. If it is a single player, we're gonna disconnect, obviously. B commander, PRF. That's right, PRF, B commander. Well, the name is correct. Let's just make sure we're actually having this correct. And level. Oh, stupid me. Okay, that's it's not the target name I want, it's the thread I want, because I want it to run the script function and not have a name. Because I don't care about this trigger in the script. I just want it to do something when the player uses it. And this is a perfect example of how mistakes happen that you don't realize, because thread and target name start both with a T, and if you become a little bit hasty in your approach, you are seeing it starts with a T and you assume it means thread, but in fact it was saying target name, so that's wrong. The little pitfalls in modding or programming in general. So what I do against that is sometimes I read stuff backwards when things get really messy and complicated, and that helps in some cases. And so from right to left, not from left to right. And if that doesn't help, I take a break and look at it tomorrow. So just if you're wondering, this stuff happens more than one would like to admit. All right, so yeah, I forgot to add the symbol, the hand symbol actually, to the turbolift, but let's just first try if that works. Yep, it works. It loads the same map.
Barclay in.
Excellent. Does this one work too? Yep, this one works too. Alright, so let's check out the ready room. Is there anything we should be doing in here? Nope. That looks good. Also, there was some kind of glitch here. It's gone now, so that's good. Next, we need to fix the view screen bug. Here's supposed to be a model that's missing. Let's first add these. What is this? Here's a glitch. Let us first fix the glitch down here and adding a hand. Hello. So let's go here. Let's inspect this area. Okay. What do we have here? They are all coming to this point. This looks clean. Yeah, but I think that might not be quite clean enough. Yeah. Align them to grid. All of them. Pressing Ctrl G when they are selected aligns them to the grid. Still looks the same. So that's probably not the issue here. Let's look at it in game again to see where exactly what shape this problem has. It's like this. Let's just do some no clipping to see how far it extends. We can actually goes there. Goes all the way, okay. Yeah. It's actually just this object here. Let's align it. And let's do something. Yeah, let's copy it. Just a good measure. Move it. Actually here, and so that it bothers us, so that we will definitely remove it in the future. Once we have moved this, we're gonna expand this until we hit here. So that would be this line here. Okay, let's go like this. Come on. What do I see here? That looks good. Okay, let's align it. Ah, there was something wrong with the alignment here. Here we go. Yeah, but that's probably because of this. So we're gonna cut it, realign it again. Check if that fits now. That looks good. And the size is good. Let's hide this and remove those and look at this. Come on. How far can we go? So we can actually expand this, make it bigger, bigger, and use the clipper to cut this point here. There we go. And then we remove the parts we don't want to keep. Now that is not quite... Yep, that looks better. Let's move it here. Okay, there we go. Now we have replaced 2 brushes with a single one, and hopefully fix this glitch here. This is a little bit more work than adding multiple brushes, but every time we can reduce a brush, that's usually beneficial. But we need to be really careful. Now look, this brush is now extending into this room, which we actually don't want, which is probably the reason why it was done like this in the first place. But we can still change that. And we should be able to save us this. No, it's still going to reach into the room. Yeah, let's first do this and see what we can do then from here. Change this too, I suppose. We have this fixed, this and this fixed. Let us have just these walls removed. Oh, this is actually a detailed map wall, not a structural. Oh, what about you? Oh, okay, that's not ideal. Anyway, that should work. How does it look? Oh, that's pretty ugly, but it's still working, so I'm gonna keep it like this. This is a rather complex map, and everything that we change here on this map has to do with a lot of work. So this map's already been in development for several years, and there's still many things to do on this map, but it's like 95% of mapping is or more is done off this map, and there's still so much to do. This is just the bridge of the Enterprise E-map. So fixes we do now on this separate map file will not go directly into the main Enterprise E-map, but once I've done that stuff, I pretty much know how I should do it, or if it's worth the effort, or if there is even need for doing something like this. So I don't consider this wasted time. I think it's always good to have some sort of experimenting going on, trying things out. Always try to try something new. Okay, what we can do actually, because let me just see how. Oh, that would be. Is that going to be a problem? I suppose this could be a problem. Yeah, let's just compile the map and see how it works out. It's quite possible this part is not really visible. But yeah, it's definitely a smaller issue than the dark place here, so At the end, we could place a vase or something here that decorates the place and hides this bug. But since this is just a test map, we only go so far to fix things like this. There we go. Closing this, starting it up. Okay, now this glitch is gone, which is actually quite nice. And yeah, still for now we have a new glitch here. Can you be kidding me? I think there must be some other problem also here. That they keep popping up. It's disturbing. So let's go down here. Well, it's barely noticeable. Now this here is much more noticeable. We can fix that. This is... I don't think I would spend any time fixing this. It's so hard to notice this glitch here. Okay, let's look at this shape here. What's going on there? It actually looks quite good, but let's just try a old trick. Just use no draw instead of the actual calc texture and see how that works out. That should actually fix the issue. Just to be sure, do that too. Okay. Yeah, so let's you and you as well. So let's just see, this is actually, yeah, we wanted to fix the bridge. The ready room transition issue. Just see if that is even possible and add the symbols to the turbolift. That is, you are here. Why are you so big? If I change you, where would you go? This one is not even aligned to the grid. So goes here. Now that would be no problem actually. Can change that. Just save the map before. Go like this. And align to the grid. See if that is any good. No, that messed it up completely. So let's just open up the map again. Because it's so much work to fix this now, it's much easier loading up the map again. go here and remove that bulk, these two, and here, and yeah, this and this part, this and this. Let's just see if the clippers of any help here. Let's just clip from this point to this point. No, this point. No, the other point was correct. No. Let's just see. That looks actually. That looks good. This and this, and remove that. That worked. That fixed it. We have here another issue, but quite frankly, there's anyway the door, so we're barely gonna see this glitch. So, the symbol, symbol. We have a target name for it, yeah, but we don't need the target name, so we're gonna remove that. And we're gonna clone it, move it into the turbolift. So we give the player a visual clue or hint what he can use. Place it like this, further away from the screen. Let's go like this. And we're gonna do the same on this side here. Somewhere around here is the console. Let's go over there. Here, move it here. Slightly touching the display. Let's just make sure it's the same on the other side. Slightly touching the display. Let's go like this. That's it. Okay. So we could be adding a yeah, but that would be quite some work because this is on a really bad angle. I would take some effort. So we're not going to do this we're not going to clip this for the test map here. Gonna compile it. Checking my scripts again. What we can do, right? What do we need here? We can says old code. While this is compiling, let's just check what we can put into a function from the main code here. So this is only used once. We can keep it here. This is also just done once. It's also good. We already have here the function to exit. Then this is also okay. We can actually, let me just see. Well, there's no value in moving them. There's no value in Well, it would make for a cleaner code if you would put this into a separate function, but there's no real value there. I mean, doesn't matter where it is actually. Doesn't really improve the visual quality of the code. It's practically the same condition like here. It's the same thing. It makes it easier to read the code, but essentially doesn't do really much. So since this is just taking care of a single player, we don't have to worry about code that's slow or code that delays other code, which is in here. So because we are just interacting with a single player, performance in terms of timely checking things is not an issue here. So we don't need to really put code into separate functions here. Okay, I think that looks. Let me just check. What about this? We have this called twice. Why do we? Now that could be put into a function actually. Yeah, let's put this into a function because the code is twice there and it's exactly the same code. So there's no reason why you should have the same exact code at two different places. So we could actually now finally name a function shut up Wesley. But yeah. We can actually name it actor reset. Just copy the code in. The health check would be something. Let me just see how far that would go. So it's checking if the actor exists. So that is actually a call where we don't need to check. The same here. Good. So we can just copy the whole thing and just call the function like this. Does entity exist? Just have it like this. And there we go. Reset. And silence the actor. So if the actor is still alive, if the actor is present, alive, stop talking, reset the head forward, and terminate the actor timeout function. That would reset the head of the actor once it stops talking. Now we're gonna put this here. Declaration, move this down because of looks. Better when the setup is on top. And I'm gonna grab this function here. All we need is retrieved from this here. Yes, 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 yes. So we need no more information than just the actor. Good. So we go here and we just add this function here. Do it like this. And we want the script to wait. Yeah, we want the script to wait for this to finish. Just a few milliseconds, but still, we don't want any, we don't have any issues with timing, so let's do it the easy and clean way. And the same here. That's exactly the same action. Oh, let me just check it again. Last. Yeah, that's correct. There we go. That's actually it so far. Now let me just start the level and see if it's working. I think I'm not gonna fix the view screen problem really, unless it's easy to fix, but just see.
Barclay,
Yeah, Barclay, do you... Oh, your problem is gone. Good.
If you're interested,
Greetings, Lieutenant. I am Dr.
So let's just do suicide and see what happens. If we can... Oh, we can now use the trigger and zoom.
is the king of the holodeck.
Suicide. That seems to work. Let's go into spectator.
if you're interested,
Yeah. Is that another glitch? This map is full of glitches. Never mind that.
Barclay is. Barclay.
Yeah, we're now in spectator. And the script is still running, so this needs to be fixed. You should not be the captain when you are in spectator mode. So we are going to check for the instance where the player is supposed to be dead or wants to do an exit. So where else is this? That's here, and let's just use another co-op mod feature. Checking for spectators. Player spectator. Check player spectator. There we go. Is one for this player. There we go. Oh, and let's check the turbo lifts. Let's just check the turbo lifts. That's good. That's good.
Barclay is the king of the holodeck.
Yeah, let's go to spectator. Let's see. I cannot reach the menu. Let's do it like this. And spectate. Oh, it's fixed. Let's add this check to the exit function for the player, because we want the player to know once you go into spectator, you're no longer the captain. So we're not just showing this message when the player is exiting, but we also show this when the player is going to spectator. We could actually just always show it.
Barclay.
That is good. Great for you. It's
Barclay
just
is the king of the holodeck.
and join MP team, I think it was. Yeah, it's working. We're now in spectator and we're no longer the captain. Just kill myself. It's killing not possible in spectator. Killing. Good. Becoming captain. Suicide. Yeah, no longer the captain. Yeah, let's just change it so it's always printed. Let's just disable this, remove that, and move this here. So that if we ever want to enable this again, we could. You are no longer the captain. There we go, activating it, suicide. You are no longer the captain. And let's change this to a different color, because it's easier to read them. To distinguish between the other information. Let's go here, you have the con. Here. Here and suicide, you're no longer the captain. Let's also change the you have the con. Hide all in open document. Let's 5, someone else is already the captain. 5, someone else. Let's do it like this and that. Let's go like here. You now have the con. That is actually the correct phrase. I don't know. You have the con. I know that's the saying for the control. Yeah. So that's actually the correct phrase. Let's go with giving the players some more positive feedback. You have now the con, captain. So like this. And think That's it actually. That should do the trick. See, you have now the captain. That looks good. Terminating. You're no longer the captain. Good. That's working. Now we're going to spectator. You're no longer the captain. That's working. Okay, now we test it with a second player. Contact 170. Okay. Ooh. Ah, yes, I'm a spectator. That's the wrong. Here we go. Ooh. Ah, okay. That got me confused for a second. You are no longer the captain. Is this the active? Okay, now I'm the captain. And here, spectator, I'm gonna join. Someone else is already the captain. So if someone else is removed, script. So that would be one player. One remove. I'm not the captain. Excellent. And reconnect. Come back. Someone else is already the captain. So let's just remove the other person. So removing the player will not close the server. If I would disconnect with the main player, which is player 0, it would close the server and my test would stop. So I'm just removing the player entity from the world, and the server keeps running then. Yeah, and the script has indeed reacted and I can become the captain. Excellent. So just restart the server. Call vote. Restart. There we go. That fixes it. Now let's look at the view screen. We can fix this fairly easy. I think this is just a missing model. And then I think that's actually it with this map, yeah. Let's first add it to the co-op mod list of supported levels. Let's first copy it over to the game files. Just let me see where the other maps are. If they are here. Yeah, they're completely here. So copy it here. This map has no paths, so yeah, good. Matrix, let's copy this. Let's just take another look at our script if it is indeed sufficiently clean. That actually looks quite good. Yeah, I think that's fine. This one is requires co-op mod to work. So let's copy this over. Then add the information. Let me see how I did it here. Just change language. It's a completely normal here, normal text. New. Somewhere. New map. New map. Yeah, that's how I do it. Edit new map. PRF. bcommander sample map for recreating bridge commander bridge control, I don't know how to call it, bridge commander bridge sequence. Bridge control like this. Now we're gonna take this and add it to map list. I'm gonna add it to the test maps. This is the test map 38. And we're gonna add it to just see single player. Yeah, call vote needs to be added to the call vote list. Vote map list. There we go. So it's 43 here. Yeah. And it needs to be added to the menu as well. The menu files are here, UI, call vote, test map. Here. That's 177. It's 22, 23, 360. Okay, so we have a lot of room left. That's 1121 units difference. So let's just clone this. Prefab, bridge, commander. This will then show up in the menus. This is 43. Why is this 43 here? Okay, something went wrong there, I think. Let's just ignore that for a moment. Should actually be 43, but finding that glitch now where the number was mixed up. Nope. Not wanting to do that now. PRF, Bridge Commander. So the rest is fine. This is the call vote. Now we need to have it on the start server screen as well. This could probably be automated and improved in the menu, but changing the menu and updating it in a way so I can work with lists and config files, make this way easier in the future, costs me a lot of time. So I probably would have to spend a week changing the menu just to make it easier in the future. I eventually will at some point, but just for adding another map, no, not gonna do that. There's still so much other work to do in the mod. So that's the call vote. We need to start server, custom, test maps. There we go. Test map. Here we go. It's the same here. Clone this. I think what was happening here, let me just see. No, it starts with 1. So 1 map here is missing, I think. Never mind. At some point we will figure this out. 44. Then bridge. Commander. Prefab bridge commander. Here, and we have 198. 21 units difference. And that's it. Do we want, yeah, we want to check something else. This is, yeah, there we go. These are the broken models for this level. I will have to look them up and see if I can fix them. But first, I'm going to do something else, which is close the editor and recompile or add the mod files all together into the co-op mod, and then update the game with it. So use fire, use alt. These are complete. What else do I want? Yeah, I don't really want them. I think I'm gonna improve that and make them prettier. But those I definitely want here. They are still in English, so I'm gonna make a note. I want them to be translated. Oh, fire. Use. Co-op use. Co-op use. There we go. Fire use. I have that and that. Fire alt use. Fire use needs global strings. Or when we are already at it, let's just do it now. Then it's done here. Co-op fire. Here. And let's just open up the global strings. English string resource, global strings. Let's find empty strings, which we can recycle. Oh. Let's just have them listed. Okay, there seem to be none. They are all already populated. So we're going to create a new one. What's the highest one? The highest one is 130, 150, 151. Let's check if there's 152. Yeah, 156, 157. Okay, 157 is the highest. It's the next. Stat bars, empty. General main menu. Let's put it here, fire to spawn. Let's just, here we are. Let's just copy them over. Fire use, fire all use, use. Let's just, it was C157. That's the first. Excellent. Eight and 9. Now go into the actual file, copy the text, press use to interact. Put it here. Do we already have something like this? Press use to change spectator mode. Yep, we don't. So we go back. Press use to interact. Press fire to interact. Press Alt fire to interact. Let's just check if that is true. Gonna have use now the global string C157. Oh, here. C157 is this. Then use Alt fire to interact. Okay, that would be C159. C159. And fire use. C158. That would be it. Good. Now let's check the German file. That's line 158. Go to line 158. Oh. Why is that different? Ah, okay. Stupid me. Let's check the lines. 158, it must end. Why is this here different? Ah. Wait, what? 154, it should start. 154. Here, so somewhere else is something wrong. 145, 145. Something is wrong here. So the 39, 90, 90. Here's just one line, and in the English version there are two lines. So let's just do the one line thing also in the English version. This should line up the line numbers correctly again. 157, 157. Yeah, there we go. So the reason why I'm doing this is this makes it easier for me to spot certain issues. If, for example, some translation is missing in the English version or in the German version, I notice that by the line numbers. Press use to interact. Basically the same as here. And gonna copy that here and copy that here and remove that and that, and we want to have this in lowercase, uppercase, and we want it in German. And that's a different word, secondary. Sekundärfeuer zum Interagieren. So that's Feuer drücken zum Interagieren. Yeah, I think that's fine. That's an okay translation. There we go. Now we have the translation in place, we have the HUDs in place, and we can actually add the HUDs to the, see if they are here, count, which is one. So they are not added yet. So we have a new map, we have new HUDs, added new HUD. what is this? Press fire to use. And we have the two other HUDs. We have Alt fire and use. Press Alt fire to use. Press use to use. These are the new HUDs. And I think that's good. We're now gonna compress the files. And check if the new features actually work. There we go. That's gonna take a moment. So I'll be right back while you watch the program. All right, I'm back. So that looks good. That's actually much faster with this computer than my old computer and still taking quite some time. Almost 2 minutes. So you can see how big the co-op mod actually became over time. So was almost a gigabyte data we compressed down to 300 megabytes, which is actually still a little bit big. Something's happening here because, oh yes, I compressed, yeah, there we go. That folder should not be in there. We should be around 200 megabytes. Yeah, that's right. And the co-op mod itself should be around 600. Oh, 800. Oh, yeah. But the compressed number is correct, about 200 megabyte. Yeah. Okay, we don't need that anymore because this was for testing. Yeah, start the game. See if the user interfaces are still working, or at least the one that's showing. It's showing.
Barclay
That's working. Okay, then we are getting some errors. Gonna need to fix that. Is zooming variable not found? Okay, so how are we gonna do that? We're gonna do that here. Let me see. We don't need that because it looks like this is working. This is working. We will look at these in a moment. This one, just straightforward, simple enough. Looks right. This is that. Map list. Looks good. So okay, so the co-op mod has a total of, just see if that's right. The co-op mod has a total of 83 maps that it brings to the game. So by its own, including all the test maps. Okay. So that looks good. Gonna close that. We want. Now I forgot what I had to do. I remember. Go here. Go for zoom. Somewhere here. That one. Is Captain 1 in menu showing and zooming. So, and just to be sure, let's close, open, move, clone to other view. Now we have here, and we're gonna look for player exit. We have the captain, we have the in menu, we have to do, yeah, there's one missing. No, it's here. And does this have to be here? Yeah, it doesn't go down to the point here because there's a return if it's 1. So having the 0 here is not required, so we can have it here with all the other variables, which makes it look nice and clean and organized. Captain in menu showing tooltip, zooming, and exit. Just, yeah. That's it. That will fix this problem. We're gonna close this here. Okay, let's just check the map again. One more time.
Barclay is the king of the holodeck.
Okay, so the player is supposed to stand here and not, or sit here and not go so close.
If you're interested,
Greetings, Lieutenant. I am.
Well, zooming would definitely benefit from a distance check. So maybe we can make a sort of easy formula for the distance check. So let's just go in game and check again which is the best zoom distance here. So Mr. Barkley.
Barclay is the king of the holodeck.
It's actually good.
If you're interested, I have some good books.
Oh, that's too close, I think.
Greetings, Lieutenant. I am Dr. Stevens.
It's okay, let me just check her
If you're
again.
interested, I have some good books for you to read. I really recommend the Dixon Hill novels.
Actually,
If you're interested,
that's...
Is the king of the
if you're interested,
Yeah, it's because of her chair. Or is there a distance? Is there... See? No, I think it's because of the chair that looks so strange. Giraffe. Now let's measure the distance in a really crude but still good way. Let's measure the distance to her. The distance. Where are you? You here. So the distance would be probably be about that. So the distance is 328 units. So let's go to the zoom command. Zoom. Left click. Add HUD, remove HUD. Zoom. So here's our zoom calculation. Let's add some commentary here. Distance 1, distance navigation is 328 units. Now it's going to get a little bit more complicated. You have to rotate this brush. Disable the models, disable the lights, disable all the details, so that we only have what we actually need. It'd be like, kind of like this. The distance is almost identical. Just copy this and flip it and see if the distance is the same to, yeah, it's almost exactly the same to Mr. Barkley. So that's funny. Okay, so basically we have our ideal measurement. So if the target is 328 units away, we have that zoom. So that would be 100%. Let's move it here. Player FOV. That's the actual FOV. Oh well, that's not working. That will not work. FOV new. That's FOV new. No. Let's go back. FOV new will be the current FOV. .75, and that's on a distance to 328 28. So we also need to grab the distance. It's scale, actually it's a scale, not a new FOV. Let's make a note here. FOV scale should be scaled with the distance to the vector, the object, the target object. So let me see, the target object is this here. The target get origin. I want the distance so I'm gonna grab the distance. The distance is I think that was the player. Player origin. Do we already have? Yeah, we do. Player origin. We already grabbed the player origin and put it into a variable. There's no reason not to use that. Minus the target origin. Get origin, there you are. And then we need the vector length. That will give us distance between these two. And we then want this number divided by 328 multiplied by the actual real distance. Let's just say, see if that actually works or if that crashes. Okay, that's a good sign.
Barclay
Looks okay, now I get closer.
Barclay
More. Oh, that's...
Barclay
Yeah, we have our...
Barclay is
Oh, it's not working right.
Barclay
Greetings, Lieutenant.
It's not working right. Let's just...
Barclay is
Are you kidding me? What's the difference here?
Barclay
Why do you...
Barclay
If I would have to guess, I would say... But let's just make sure that get origin. At least this is no problem. Okay, it's not zooming now anymore. Let's give us the information. Let us know the distance, the player print, and distance is distance here. let's just see the player distance to the object. Activate.
Barclay
Distance is 0. That cannot be. Okay, we have here a get origin and get origin, and they both seem to be not quite happy with each other. So what I'm suspecting is that this should be fixing it, I think. If you put it in brackets, it might fix it.
Barclay
It's not fixing it. Okay, so we are going to use the actual variable here, because the command itself is working, it's just not working in the context of this calculation. So what we do now is we create another vector. Target origin. Grab that. And use that for calculation, because variable to variable calculations should be working. Command events to command events calculations might be a little bit glitchy. As we can see now, it didn't work. So let's just make sure that actually was the case. It would be an easy fix this way.
Barclay is a king.
If you're interested,
Greetings, Lieutenant.
Okay, let me just see it from this distance.
Greetings, Lieutenant. Greetings, Lieutenant.
It's not,
Greetings, Lieutenant.
should be,
Greetings.
I think I know what the problem is. It's doing exactly the opposite, I think. Is it?
Greetings, Lieutenant. Greetings,
No, it's
Lieutenant.
not.
Greetings, Lieutenant. Greetings, Lieutenant. Greetings, Lieutenant. Greetings, Lieutenant. Greetings, Lieutenant. Greetings, Lieutenant. I am Dr.
400 is
Greetings,
the most
Lieutenant.
zoomed. So if I go further back,
Greetings, Lieutenant.
it stops.
Greetings, Lieutenant. Greetings, Lieutenant. I am Dr.
If it's under 400,
Lieutenant. Greetings, Lieutenant.
it zooms.
Stevenson.
420 zooms perfectly.
Greetings, Lieutenant.
Yeah,
Stevenson.
then it stops. Even though it's a bigger distance,
Greetings,
it stops working right.
I am Dr. Stevenson.
Why that is, we have to figure out. For that to figure out, we're gonna print out the scale value as well. Scale. That. Let's do it like this.
Barclay is a king.
Scale. Scale is
Barclay is.
so I'm suppose
Barclay.
the scale is, yeah, if the scale is within 100,
Barclay is a king of the holodeck.
yes, Mr. Barkley, that's great. So, what exactly is the problem? Yeah, I think we need to change something in the initial calculation. Or we are adding a limiter, but still that's not, it's not good. So let's rather change it a little bit differently, like Yes, I think I know the problem. We should be scaling this and not the result. So I think that's the problem. Let's just call it scale because I'm lazy. 75. And do this kind of calculation here to here, and see if that actually fixes it.
Barclay is the king of the Hollow.
Let's go further back.
Barclay,
You got to be kidding me. Still not.
Barclay, 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 Barclay,
Oh, that's strange.
Barclay, 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 Barclay.
Greetings, Loot.
If you're interested, I have.
Yeah, I think I should really think about the math again, because that is not working. So I'm gonna disable that for now, because I don't want to warp my hand around it right now. Let's go scale. This is, yeah, that's still right. That's still okay. I'm gonna disable the print out. So we keep the previous setting, and just use the code we had previously, but we keep the commentary in case I want to change the scaling again. But for this I should really take a big break and maybe clear my head and figure out what the actual math behind this would be, not just guessing. So let's try it. Use and zoom and zoom and zoom, and
Greetings, Lieutenant.
yeah.
Greetings, Lieutenant.
Yeah, we would probably need some kind of scale factor. So the last test would be now to actually call a vote, test some example maps, prefab bridge commander, that works, multi-match. Now we actually want to start a server, create a co-op server, training levels, test and example maps. Next. Bridge commander, engage, yes. This works. Okay, so the next test, the last test we would actually need to do is go in the maps list, map list. Then we would load this map and call vote for the next map. Just the last feature. Map. Oh, there we go. This is also a map I made. This recreates sort of the force field scanning thing from Star Trek Deep Space Nine, The Fallen. Now I cannot shoot through the force fields. And if I scan this, it reads the frequency. Now I can shoot through this force field. I cannot go through it, but I can shoot through it. Now I need to scan this one. Now I have the frequency. Now I can shoot through the force field. No, it didn't work. Just see. Yeah, it works. It's just visually not working, but it's physically working. So that's a glitch of the game. I can't actually fix that without the client game code. So let me just see if I can spawn something inside. Yeah, as you can see, it shoots through, even though it doesn't visually look like it. Let's just change the weapon. Yeah. Okay, so it's a little bit glitchy still, but yeah. The actually other weapons like this should not work. Let's just scan. Spawn my enemy. Okay, I scanned the force field and I cannot penetrate it with conventional weapons. What happened before is because the other weapon has radius damage, this thing will be damaged through the force field because of the radius damage. That's a little bit stupid, but well, there you go. It's radius damage. Okay, I might fix that in the future, but for now it's yeah, it will do. It's actually a simple fix, but yeah. It's not working. Let's just scan it. Let's grab the phaser. Yeah, now I can shoot through. So when I now do the call vote, co-op, next map, co-op next map, it should load. Yeah, it loads the right map. Okay. So the last fix would be the models for the view screen, but I'm not going to do this now. I think I need a break now, and I also think that's basically it for the stream. So thank you for watching. I hope you had at least some entertainment out of this, and see you next time.